Previously on the Mastersmith series, I forge welded together a multi-bar Damascus blade. I made a back spring, integral bolster handles, and then some blackwood scales. We left it on a little bit of a note of uncertainty whether or not we're going to be able to continue. I'm now a couple days into building on this slip joint, and I've come to a realization, and that is that I don't know enough about slip joints to be building one for my Mastersmith set. I believe that I can finish this knife out and have it be really nice. What I don't know is if I'm going to make some stupid mistake that to me, functionality-wise, is good, but to the judges, maybe they know slip joints a lot better than I do, and to them, it's wrong on a slip joint. Slip joints have a rich tradition from England and America and kind of all over the world. There's some traditional things that you want to do on a slip joint, and I just don't know if I'm going to be able to figure out all of those things and do it to the best of my ability. So I've decided to not finish this for my Mastersmith set and instead restart yet again. I'm getting pretty good at restarting actually on my Mastersmith set. And so I'm not going to be doing a folding knife. I'm just going to stick to fixed blades because those are what I know. I know I can do those well. The problem is that now I have 6 weeks to build all of my Mastersmith pieces, which is kind of a nightmare. Because of that, I'm going to do a couple of knives that I know how to do well, an integral hunter, integral chef's knife, non-integral chef's knife, a double-edged bowie, and then my dagger. Now, I think that 3 of those knives I'll be able to get done relatively quickly. I'm used to working quickly and cleanly on those first 3, the hunter and the chef's. The double-edged bowie and the dagger, on the other hand, are gonna take a minute. So, because I work a lot faster when I'm not filming, I didn't film making the steel for any of these knives. It's something that I can very easily explain, but it's something that I didn't feel like was worth my time filming and slowing me down for just shots of chopping and grinding and all of that. But let's jump in and I'll show you where I'm at with all of my billets and my pieces. I'm not gonna film the process for doing all of these. Time is very much of the essence right now, so let's dig into what I've got. All right, so I'll give you a quick rundown on what we've got so far. First one is this 8-inch chef. This is non-integral, just Western chef, classic, very similar profile-wise to the one that I did for my JS set. Just cool, mosaic steel. Second one that I'm second farthest along on is this integral hunting knife right here. This is a super cool kind of florally weave pattern. It's gonna end up looking a lot like this, just good size, medium range hunter. Again, integral bolster, super fun one. This is gonna be the steel for the integral Guido that I wanna build. And this is a fun pattern that I've got here. This whole bar is feather pattern steel, which means that I basically shoved a splitter through the billet of 80 layers of W'd steel. It's darker on the outside, lighter on the inside. And the reason that I wanted to do that is because now that I have this layer of feathers, I can tile it out, and I'm gonna switch the feather direction so that one feather is going this way, the next one's going that way, and then back and forth. That's a variation on the first ever Damascus pattern that I ever designed when I was like 17 years old. I made it at my friend Steve Howell's shop. Had way lower layers W though. I think it was like 8 or 10 layers of W's. This is 80 layers, so it's a lot finer. I think it's gonna look a lot better. And so we're gonna have some very interesting light to dark contrast along with some cool direction to it, which I'm really excited about. So this is now ready. It's been annealed. It's ready to be tiled out and then forged to shape. The next one is this bar right here. This is a bar of weave pattern. This is based on a layup that Nick Anderson did a while back. Super cool weave pattern. And I'm gonna twist this steel and then forge it to the shape of a big double-edged bowie. We have just enough steel to get a nice big bowie out of this and keep it nice and thick, like 350 thousandths at the ricasso. It's almost 3/8 of an inch. And the last billet that I need to work on is the billet for my dagger. I have W's steel here right now that I'm going to ladder and then kind of do something funky to the pattern. For now, it's just a raw bar. We're gonna press in those rungs in order to bring that W's pattern up to the surface. Now empathize with me, if you will. I have basically gave myself 2.5, 2 3/4 months to build my whole Master Bladesmith set. Normally, I'd say people string it out over about the course of a year. Now, as you can imagine, taking basically half the time that I gave myself to build my whole Mastersmith set, and then wrecking the first half of that time, first with the pierced buoy that I wasn't able to finish because I ruined it, and then kind of scrapping the idea of doing the slip joint for my set, things are getting a little bit stressful. I now have 6 weeks to build my whole Mastersmith set. Normally, that process is strung out kind of over the course of like about a year, and so to give myself a month and a half is an undue cause of stress. Now, I know that is not unique to my situation. Everyone deals with stressors in their lives, whether it's tests in school or job performance or whatever it is. Everyone has that, which is why it's incredibly helpful that today's sponsor is BetterHelp. And while we may not be able to avoid the stressors in life, it is incredibly important to be able to have someone qualified to talk about them with. BetterHelp is a service that connects you with a therapist online. That is really handy for a couple of different reasons. For one, it means that however you want to communicate with that therapist, it's incredibly easy. You can video chat, you can message, you can have a phone call, kind of however you want to do it. It also means that finding a therapist that understands your worldview, I think that's incredibly important to have someone that understands your religion. That's a major part in my life, and I don't think that I'd be able to talk to someone who doesn't understand the basis and the foundation of my life. And so being able to find someone that understands your worldview is incredibly easy, along with if you don't get along with or don't feel connected with the therapist that they find, it's incredibly easy to find and switch around, a lot easier than it is to do in person. If you live in an isolated place like Montana, there might not be a ton of options in your local area, and they kind of remove that problem, which is really neat. So if you guys are interested in letting BetterHelp connect you with a therapist from the comfort of your own home, you can go to betterhelp.com/Will Stelter or choose Will Stelter at sign up for a special discount off of your first month. Thank you, BetterHelp, for sponsoring today's episode. With that, let's get back on into it. Okay, so here's the deal with the dagger billet. We had our ladder pattern billet that we chopped up into pieces, then we cut it corner to corner just now. The issue that we're running into is that the amount of steel that I have is less than half of what I'd hoped for. We have 3.9 cubic inches of steel here. That is not a ton for a 12-inch dagger. In fact, it is almost the exact amount that we need. What I can do, and what I think will work out just fine, I just did a volume calc, and we actually need about 3.7 inches when it's all said and done, but I think that I will get away with it when I forge weld on more material for the ricasso and when I forge in bevels. My volume calculation does not include any bevel forging of any kind, and that's going to save us quite a bit of steel. So what I'm going to do is take the last piece off of my end here. I'm going to rip it in half one more time like that, and then I'll put one half here and the other half there, and that way we'll have a rectangular billet. So let's give it a shot. If it doesn't work out, we'll figure something else out. Now I tried a fun new approach to help keep the oxygen off of my billets. Rather than completely sealing all of my seams or welding plates onto the sides, I decided to try wrapping them in stainless steel foil to help keep the oxygen out, and it ended up working really well. The stainless foil started to degrade, but I believe that it really helped keeping those billets clean to get good forge welds. It unfortunately makes it so you can't really see what's going on inside there, and so on this dagger billet I had it get a little bit sideways on me, just rhombus a touch, but I pulled that foil off after the first weld and it looked really good. All right, now because I have an absolute abundance of time during this whole process, you guys saw yesterday I got the dagger blade forged out. Off camera, I welded on a little bit more tang material, and I have to say that this is going in the trash can. I didn't make it in the trash can. It's not even good enough for the trash can. It would probably be okay. My final thickness at the ricasso near the guard would be about 1/4 of an inch on that, and that's just, you know, overall, that's fine. I want the ricasso to be thicker than that. I want to have more material than that, so I'm going to restart. I was only a couple welds in on it, so it's not the end of the world to have to restart that. I don't have a ton of time invested there, so I'm going to get a new billet prepped, slightly different variation on the same pattern. Rather than doing W's this time, I'm going to do straight layers, which I like the look of laddered quite a bit, but I'm going to do something interesting as well to kind of spice it up a little bit, something that I thought of when I was doing the last weld on that. I was like, oh man, that would look really good. So now I have the opportunity to do that. What a blessing. While we're working on that and getting this billet cut and prepped, we can continue to work on the chef's knife that I started yesterday. Yesterday I got it welded up and started to forge it to shape a little bit, but I'm not able to get the compression in on my bolster to get it as thick as I want it to do, so I'm going to chop off my tang, forge it down, get the compression in on the bolster there, get the bolster to where I need it to be, and then start to draw it out and then forge weld on more material for my tang. So let's do it. So we've added a little bit of tang material. Now it's time to normalize this blade, bringing it up to 1550 degrees 3 times, then letting it cool down. Well, we let it cool down in between. But then we're going to quench it in some Parks 50 quench oil. Nice. Well, it is several days later now, and let me tell you what happened. I did a lot of grinding and a lot of hand sanding, and I filmed almost none of it. I've been doing 12 to 14-hour days in the shop for the last like 2 weeks now, and let me update you with where we're at. Again, when I'm working by myself, trying to film just takes up so much time. It kind of breaks me out of my ADHD hyperfocus, and for whatever reason, I get like a quarter of what I could get done as if when I just kind of power through it. So here's where we're at. This is the new Dagger Blade 2.0, and it's looking good. That pattern concept, the W's on the outside of straight layer, it really gets that good separation between the tiles so you can see what's going on without being like too in your face. So I think this is going to work out really well. This has not been heat treated yet, just been profiled. We're ready for heat treat at this point. I forgot it in acid overnight the other day. Moving on, we have the buoy. The buoy is looking fantastic. I got my bevels ground. I carved in my plunge lines with my micro motor, these little carbide flame tip burrs. And then I used a lot of EDM die maker stones. So these guys right here, you soak them in kerosene, and then you can kind of scrub it up dub with them. You can kind of shape them exactly how you want. And those were super helpful in getting these plunge lines exactly right. The back clip on here is actually pretty dang sharp already. Nice and reinforced for when you get some bone or something like that when you're fighting with this knife. So that I'm very happy with. It is now ready for a guard and handle, and I've got a really fun plan for that. I decided to do a little slightly different fit up for it, something that I haven't quite done before, but I think it fits really well with the swept plunge lines. I wanted to do something fun there, and I think this is going to be a cool way to incorporate that into the theme of the handle. And then this right here is the big Gyudo, the one with the feathers on it. It is really good as well. It is also ready for a handle. That pattern looks great. Very happy with it. I described the pattern earlier in the process as having the feathers go like this, back and forth. I did not think about it, and so I tiled out the billet and then realized that the feathers can't go back and forth when you do it like that. So these do not do that. These are all going in the same direction, but it looks really, really good. You're gonna have to stick around to the next episode to be able to see that, but take my word for it. Looks cool. It's ready for its handle. Second knife, chef's knife. It was just about here at the beginning of the episode. Now is fully hand sanded. We've got our shoulder transitions carved in there. I dialed in my geometry a little bit more. I had it sharpened. I did some cut tests with it just to see how it felt, and I'm really happy with the cutting performance on this. Really happy with the cutting performance on the other Gyudo as well. Again, I sharpened it up, went through some cut tests, ended up thinning it out a little bit, but I'm really happy with how that one cuts as well. And the last one is the little Mosaic Hunter, and this thing is very good. I'm really happy with it. It's a pretty slender knife, but I think it's going to be really cool. The pattern looks great. I'm very happy with it overall as well, and it is also ready for a handle. The last thing that I need to do before I can get the buoy, the dagger, and the non-integral chef's knife done is I need to finish up my fitting steel. I'm doing 500 layers, straight layers of steel. It's a very kind of neutral, very classic look for Damascus, and I think it's going to be great fitting steel for those 3 pieces. And then after that, the hunter, the chef's knives, and the buoy are all getting African blackwood, and the dagger is going to be getting this lovely piece of fossilized walrus ivory, and it's going to get some gold inlaid into the handle. So that's where we're at right now. I'm going to keep on cruising, doing this kind of time-lapse montage, the old shuffle. We're going to Karate Kid it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions about this process, I'll try to answer them. I know this isn't as in-depth as I was kind of wanting it to be, but it's as in-depth as I can be and still get them done, which is, quite frankly, more important to me right now. So a couple announcements before we end it. I will be presenting these at Blade Show in Atlanta on June 7th. And if you guys are in Atlanta, you're coming to Blade Show, please come check them out at table 12R. I'll have a couple other pieces there for sale as well. If you guys really like knives and you haven't been to Blade Show before, very highly recommend it. It's the best. It's the most wonderful time of the year. The other stuff that we're gonna have coming up on the channel after we're done with this is more knife reviews. You guys really seem to enjoy me dragging on trashy, poorly marketed knives. So we're gonna continue to do that. I think it's a lot of fun. And then we recently hit 250,000 subscribers, and I will be building a Damascus chef's knife to give away for that as well. So stay tuned for all of those fun things. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. Thank you, BetterHelp, and thank you to our patrons for supporting the channel, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.